Good afternoon, Chair Jacobson, members of the committee. Drew Ambrogi for the record, Drewambrogi. Thank you. I'm here on behalf of Chamber of Progress. We are a tech industry association working to ensure all people benefit from technological advances. While our members do include e-commerce platforms and other tech companies, they do not have a vote or veto on our positions. I'm here to respectfully urge you to oppose LB 1006. Specifically, I'd like to highlight just how extraordinarily broad this bill is and how that might impact consumers. Because at a time when cost of living, as you've heard today, is the #1 issue facing American families, this bill asks Nebraska to ban a speculative, unproven harm while putting real consumer savings at risk. Despite years of headlines about surveillance pricing, price gouging, dynamic pricing, there is no conclusive economic evidence that this practice is being used to raise prices in a way that systematically harms consumers. But this shouldn't be a surprise because retail is fiercely competitive. It is not a viable business strategy to target a consumer based on their personal characteristics and raise prices for them. That would just drive competition to a rival. What companies are actually using data for is to compete harder for your business through loyalty rewards, targeted coupons, and personalized discounts. Some of the things that would be targeted by this bill, because it does not exclude discounts and promotions, are things like senior and student discounts that are verified through an app, a grocery store sending you a coupon on a cereal that you buy weekly, a small brand on an online marketplace trying to build a following by offering a discount if you place an item in your cart and didn't complete the sale. This bill's definitions are so broad that any use of digital data in a pricing decision creates liability. But consumers are not cheap. 91% of Americans say they are willing to share personal data in exchange for discounts and rewards. Research shows that the families who use and rely on these savings the most are low-income families, particularly those with children. These are the people who stand to lose the most if this bill passes. Similar bills have been introduced across the country, and all of them have stalled or failed because legislators who look closely reach the same conclusion. You cannot ban algorithmic pricing without also banning the savings that families count on. If LB 1006 becomes law, Nebraska would be the first and only state where consumers are unable to access the personalized deals and tailored discounts that the rest of the country uses to stretch their budgets. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Senator Dungan.
I know I haven't asked a question in a while. I know.
Names besides yours, so go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Jacobson. Thank you for being here today, sir. I appreciate it. Zooming out a little bit and talking about algorithmic pricing, I know there have been, as you said, pieces of legislation across the country that have been proposed talking about this. I know it's a relatively new subject, so there's not been a lot of legislation that's been passed, but we've seen legislation in other states being proposed from the West Coast to the South to the East Coast, all over the place. So it seems like it's becoming more of a topic to talk about. Are you aware of any of the lawsuits that have been brought about algorithmic pricing and specifically how they pertain to essentially violations of antitrust law by virtue of the fact that companies or industries coordinate with one another to share algorithmic pricing information, thereby effectively setting prices in a way that would otherwise be banned through antitrust? I know there's been cases. I legitimately don't know the outcome of all of them. So there's a real question of, do you know what the outcome of that litigation has been, and have there been findings by courts that the sharing of a lot of this algorithmic pricing data is an antitrust violation?
Sure. I mean, I do know that. I appreciate the question. I think the concept of algorithmic pricing is very broad and brings in a lot of different concerns. My focus has not particularly been on the competitive aspects of that, and I know that has been a more front of mind concern, especially in the rental market space, and I know that courts are sorting that out now. But I do think that that is not a practice that is targeted by the bill, right? As far as I understand, this is about banning, what economists would call price discrimination. Discrimination obviously carries connotations in this context. It means a very specific thing. Right. So, I would look to, I think if that is a concern, we'd be happy to talk, about how legislation could address that. I don't think banning the technology, banning the entire practice is an effective instrument for getting at those concerns.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Other questions?